Lisa, you ended up taking a long time to write The Kids Are All Right as well, some 5 years. You got Julianne Moore attached very, very early on. Can you talk about how the original idea of this book changed over those 5 years, and whether the period of time that it took to actually deliver the movie made it a better movie in the end?
I'm so glad you didn't ask me how the original idea came about. Like, everybody in this room probably has heard that story. I started writing it on my own, kind of based on experiences that I was going through in my own life, with trying to start a family. I ran into my co-writer, Stuart Blumberg, who I wish was here, but it's on the East Coast. We had a great chance encounter in a restaurant near my house called the 101 Cafe, where I would sit every day and kill time and eat French toast. He walked in one day. I hadn't seen him in quite some time. I had moved to LA about a year or two earlier from New York. And he was still in New York, and he walked in, and it was just, one of those old acquaintances that you know and admire, but you don't have any real, history with. And he sat down, and we started talking about what we were doing and our careers and, next steps and this and that. I told him about this script that I had just begun, but here I was, stalling and eating French toast, and I guess I was hitting a wall early on. And I told him that it was about this family and these teenage kids, and one of them was coming of age and on her own, kind of in sort of secrecy, was digging around to find her sperm donor father. And Stuart just sort of spontaneously said, "Oh wow, I was a sperm donor in college." And it was like one of those revelation moments, because I've been thinking conceptually about sperm donors for a long time and never had met a real live, animated human male sperm donor. And there he was, right in my face. And I actually knew him and liked him, and he's handsome and bright and the rest of it. And based on that, and based on kind of things that we were saying to each other in this conversation, one being unsolicited, he said to me, I think you come up with these great character studies and stories and stuff, but I would love to see you push out a little bit and become, kind of take your stuff in a more commercial vein, which I, of course, took offense to. And then I said to him,
First film was called High Art.
Right. And a cult classic for those that live in downtown New York. And I said to him, I think you got great comedic chops, and I think that you do structure great, and here you are writing and rewriting studio films, but I really think it's time for you to start digging deeper. So based on the sperm donor and what I was going through, and this and that, and trying to start a family, and him needing to dig deeper and me needing to push wider, I just spontaneously said, oh wow, this could be an antidote to all this loneliness of screenwriting. Hey Stu, do you want to write this movie with me? And I guess he was in the same state of mind, and he sort of signed up right there in the coffee shop. So part of the reason why it took so long to write it was that he primarily was still living on the East Coast, so I was on the West Coast, and we would have to make these appointments. I didn't want to Skype it in, and I didn't, the point to me of writing with another writer was the synergy, all the ineffable stuff that you get by sitting next to another human being, and what comes out of that, just, sort of energetically beyond the words. And so I wanted to wait till when we could spend time together. So months would go by in between these, 2-3 week periods where we would, plot out time to sit and try to push through a draft. So I'm going to try to cut to the chase here, which is we got through a first draft. It was long. It was involved a river rafting trip. It was very expensive. We liked it, but nobody wanted to make it. And we had to go back to the drawing board. The next detour was I had a child. I had to take some time out to do that project. And in terms of Anne's question, that was a great time out, because it really fortified my commitment to the subject and to the kind of machinations of what this couple was going through. It was my girlfriend and I, and we had this child, and with an anonymous sperm donor. So here I was finally, living my part of the arrangement. He had already been a sperm donor, but I had to kind of fulfill my end of it. And so, you go on, and you keep writing drafts, and you keep trying to make them tight, and meanwhile, you're waiting for your partner to come to the next coast or be able to travel, and things marinate and start, the truth and the falsity of what you've written, the authenticity, the level of understanding of your characters and of your plot. I think that's something that really time is the thing that brings that to focus. And so while I was wringing my hands, it was taking so much time, in the end, in retrospect, that was kind of the biggest gift of it all, that we had all that time to reflect on.